Welcome once again for Episode 8, Part 2 with our guest Brad Kennedy from the band Kobra and the Lotus. This week's episode is brought to you by the Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival Committee, Delcon Visual Arts, and Warren's Music. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor of the Wetaskiwin Wonkcast, here's how. Go to our website at delconvisualarts.com/wonkcast and send us a message there, or you can find us on Facebook at Wetaskiwin Wonkcast, and you can send us a message there too.
Sell out all the way to the bank.
All the way to the bank. What's on your iPod right now? Do you have any like guilty pleasure songs? Well, you won't like admit to the band that you're listening to when you got your earphones on?
I'm viciously open about my... I'm known as the classic rock guy in my band. I love classic rock. That's what I listen to. And anytime somebody argues with me, I'm always like, well, it's simple. They did it better, and they did it before all this garbage. And they did it before Pro Tools. And actually, funny enough... we did, that was the whole idea behind Prevail 1 and 2 is we're going to kick this old school. We're going to do it like they used to do. So we went in and did a double album with virtually nothing written. And when we got there, the guy who recorded, he's like, okay, let's see what you got. And we're like, we don't have anything. He's like, what? We don't have anything. We're just going to write it on the spot. You guys are ridiculous. That's a terrible idea. And we were like, we're doing it. Kicking it old school. This is how it was done. This is how we're going to do it. And it made for some of the most stressful months of everyone's life. But we're very proud of how it turned out. But when it comes to my iPod, literally, man, I have no shame. I listen to everything and I don't give a damn. Because the thing about it is it can get very claustrophobic in a closed mind.
Absolutely.
And if you're not, and especially as a musician, if you don't embrace everything, inspiration from where you can get it, then you're going to find yourself locked in a time loop of writing the same shit over and over again. And how do you get inspired when you're just plugging your same crap over and over and over and over and over again? I mean, I don't listen to new music all that much. My dad listens to more new music than me, and he's the one who introduced me to things like July Talk.
Oh, yeah.
My dad's going to frickin' Sonic... What was it called? Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom. My dad buys VIP passes at Sonic Boom.
Well, that was a great time.
Yeah, I don't go to Sonic Boom. My 70-year-old dad goes to Sonic Boom and tells me about it. Yeah.
Oh, that was still the most amazing.
Still young at heart.
Yeah. Well, and he's, I knew the tables had turned when I get a call from my dad. Hey, have you heard of this band, Amon Amarth? My 70-year-old dad asking me about a Viking metal band, and like catching me off guard. So, I'm pretty open about it. I like to, currently, for some reason, I started listening really hard to like 80s synth pop. Oh, yeah. Just because they are... No, that's classic rock, man. No, Concrete, or Concrete Blonde. Stuff like that. Just because you want to know who writes hooks? Pop artists. They write hooks.
Yeah, there's a great YouTube channel where they get metal musicians to write pop songs.
Yeah.
And it's wicked.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's fantastic.
And that's actually kind of a funny tradition in metal. Now people cover pop songs all the time. Yeah. Children of Bodom was pumping out Britney Spears covers in 2012. You know what I mean? And people were like, what the fuck? But they're like, really well done. So
if you guys are pretty much strictly original, but is there anything like in a show if you want to get people to come on? Did you?
Yeah, it's called Words of the Prophets. We did an all Canadian classic rock cover album where we did, and it's an EP. There's like 5 songs. We did Let It Ride by BTO. Yeah. We did what did we do? Spirit of the Radio by Rush. We did Alana Miles. Black Velvet. We did technically it's written by this guy named Lawrence Hudd, but we did April Wine, Sign of the Gypsy Queen. And there's another one there I'm missing, I think. But yeah, we did Lay It on the Line by Triumph. Because Triumph's like probably my all-time favorite band of all time. Triumph is the best band of all time, in my opinion. How do you make that sound with 3 people? Much like Rush.
Yeah.
But unlike Rush, Triumph's drummer is throwing down these nasty harmonies that I've never seen a drummer do in history.
Inhuman.
Yeah, it's just, I love Triumph. They're amazing.
If you're just listening, we're joined in studio by Brad Kennedy from Kobra and the Lotus. Let's talk about, you were talking about sellouts and then kind of the rock star life and everything. Let's get into like some pre-show rituals. What do you do to pump yourself up before you have to go on stage and play for 4,000 people or 500 people or whatever it is? Do you have different kind of rituals if you're going into a bigger show or if you're going into a smaller show?
Not so much, man. I'm not really the ritual guy. I like to make sure that I have enough time, 30 minutes or whatever, where I'm playing songs, particularly parts I have a hard time doing, just to stretch my hands, because nothing's worse than getting 5 songs in and then you're like, oh, now I'm warm. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's a real big piss off. And with what I do, you get 45 minutes. Like when you're a direct support slot, or even if you're a headliner slot, the most you get is an hour and a half. You know, like I have mad respect for bar bands because shit, I don't know the last time I played 3 sets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's not something I'm used to doing.
Subtle away from Dale there.
Yeah.
From playing the show.
But what we do is throw out enough energy in one set that people, you have to make them satisfied with that 45 minutes. So
when you can put enough energy into one set like that, where everyone goes home and they just feel like they had a full night, a full experience, that's what makes it.
Absolutely. And when it comes to rituals, I think everyone's a little different. Our singer, lots of vocal warm up in the corner, that kind of thing. Everyone I know, like most musicians, they all stretch out or play parts for, I usually crush a couple beers because I like to take my edge off. Yeah. If I don't have 2 beers in me, and I have to set a limit or else I go over that, then I become sloppy. It's like this kind of middle of the road. I've had a lot of people tell me like, oh, well, maybe you should just cut that shit out because for all you know, you could play unbelievable without it. Right. But it's like, I won't be able to play and perform comfortably at the same time because I'll kind of be a little.
Just get that confidence.
I'll be like when I got that little bit of a warm beer buzz going, I'll hit that stage like a monster. But if I'm like a little like. Then I come out and I do little weak waves and I won't look people in the eyes because the amount of impact you have on people in the audience when you look them in the eyes and you're not like looking over them or just looking at your guitar. If you're looking at somebody and you do the point or you do the high five, or they love that shit.
Oh yeah, they feel like part of the show.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah.
I remember one time when I saw Motley Crue front row and Vince Neil winked at me.
Yeah.
To pick at me. It was like the greatest moment of my life.
Behind you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. He's like, damn it. That guy thought it was him.
That was a proud moment in my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, can you tell us the name of the members of the band and where they're all from?
Yeah, sure.
They're all from different areas.
Yeah, so there's Kobra Page, and she's born and raised in Calgary, singer and creator of the band. As much as some people have too much pride to say this, I'll say it. It's her band. It's called Kobra and the Lotus. Like, come on, it's her band. But she chooses. The great thing about her is that if she wanted to, she could have taken a route where the band was just Kobra Page or whatever, and there was just a band of nameless goons in the background playing the music. But she made a mental, choice to have a band, to build it around a band of people that she cares about and that she wants in the band. So, mad respect for that. So she's the lead singer. She's one, songwriter. She makes choices. It's her band. Then there's my buddy Yasho, who's the guitar player. He's the second longest running. He's been in the band for however. He's a great guitar player. He's from Edmonton. And spent his time cutting his teeth in the Edmonton metal scene back probably in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. It was really bumping. Edmonton's really well known for its metal shows.
Absolutely.
And then there's me, which I was born here, of course, and I cut my teeth in the Vancouver metal scene. I spent a lot of time in Vancouver, Victoria. Then I made my way back out here. Marcus Lee's the drummer, and he's from Chicago. So he spent a lot of his time playing music in the Chicago area, touring around the Midwest, doing stuff like that. And then we actually just added a new guitar player, Ronnie, and he has quite a resume under him, including playing for Shaggy. Playing for Shaggy. So he plays for Shaggy. That's and amazing. He's pretty diverse. He plays for Shaggy, and then he also plays for a Swedish band called Soilwork. So he just joined us. So I haven't even done a tour with the guy yet.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so it's we've spent the last couple of years just having using up guitar players like toilet paper. You know what I mean? It's like, because it's hard to ever lock anyone down. I mean, what's your sales pitch for bringing somebody on? Hey, so you want to come and play music where you're away from home a lot, not making enough money to pay your rent, and you kind of have to make it your priority so that if any opportunity comes up, you're just ready to jump on it. Doesn't that sound great?
That sounds,
yeah. And a lot of people will say, that sounds great. And then 3 weeks later, they're like, this fucking blows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's hard. It's hard to navigate through. I mean, half of the guitar players we have are just guitar players who are also part of big bands, because they can hack it. You know what I mean? But finding people who are, young, locals, and experienced, it's a recipe for disaster. And I've seen the road break these guys in half. So it's
Focus aren't meant for life on the road.
well, it's. I always tell people, they're always like, it must be so amazing. I'm like, well, the thing about it is that build it up in your head, your whole life grinding towards getting to that point. Then you get there and you realize it's nothing like you thought it was.
Yeah.
Then you kind of got to come to grips with what it is. Are you still content doing what it is, or has all of a sudden the kind of smashing of the illusion of rock and roll and being a rock star and a touring musician, has that kind of taken away your desire to continue on?
Yeah.
And
then there's the really good moments where, because you guys have opened for some pretty heavy hitters and you've got to tour with some guys, so there's those kind of moments of clarity where you get to say, like, I'm a part of this.
This is why I'm here.
Give us a moment of that kind of where you just were kind of sitting back and said, I can't believe I'm here. Like, I can't believe I'm opening to this person or talking to this person.
That's easy. 2014, Nashville. I played the Firestone Arena where the Predators play, opening for Kiss and Def Leppard. And I walked out on that stage, and it's what's referred to as a bathtub. Everyone on the cruise call it a bathtub. You walk in, and it's arena that's circled shaped like a bathtub, and it goes up hundreds of feet. And I walked out on the stage, and you hear the roar of the crowd, and you look up, and there's cameras going off as far as you can look up, because there's people all the way around you. And I was just like, yeah. And I was lucky because, from my standpoint where I'm standing, bands like Kiss and Def Leppard and Radio Rock is kind of a dinosaur. It's a thing of a past in a way. Country music still has it. But when it comes to rock and roll, it's very rare. And most of the time it's for these old schoolers. And I give it only a few more years before rock is completely out of the arenas and more into like the theaters.
Yeah.
A
lot of bands are seeming to
you can still
migrate to the theaters.
You can still do 3,000 to 7,000 people in some of the big theaters. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? And it's great. But I got to experience a dinosaur before it went extinct.
Yeah.
Which
is so cool.
So
most musicians that they get the opportunity to play with Kiss always have a Gene Simmons story.
Yeah.
Do you have a Gene Simmons?
Oh, absolutely. I got a Gene Simmons story. I got to embarrass myself to the point of, I don't think I'll die remembering this story, because we were on stage sound checking. We have this kind of shreddy bass part where it's it's pretty much like double picking, and it's sweeping, and I have to do it on bass. And we're warming up, and we're playing it, and I'm just minding my own business. And Gene walks up behind me. He's looking over my shoulder. I don't know he's there. And I'm just, and I'm doing that, and I all of a sudden hear like, "Hey!" And I'm looking, oh shit! And his face is like right there, and he's like, "How do you do that? If I did that, my arm would fall off." And I was like, oh, and I said, I don't know. I guess I've been doing it a long time. And then it kind of clicked down. I was like, did I just tell Gene Simmons, who's been playing bass longer than I've been alive, that I've been doing it a long time? Give me a fucking break.
You're a powerful, attractive man, Brad.
That's right. Oh, and it was cool. Like, he had a lot of really cool advice. Like, we were struggling a bit with our identity as a band. We all love heavy metal, but we kind of came to the conclusion that we kind of wanted to figure out our own sound. That's why we ended up doing Prevail 1 and Prevail 2, because just living out our lives as a Iron Maiden, female fronted Iron Maiden band really didn't appeal to much of us. And don't get me wrong, I love Iron Maiden and I love playing those songs, but we kind of wanted our own sound. And the cool things that Gene said, he's like, look, you're gonna get a lot of pressure from people to change your sound. He's like, you're a metal band, be a fucking metal band. You know what I mean? Because we were talking, he had, like, do you know who Doc McGee is?
Yeah.
Doc, yeah.
Very famous manager.
Yeah.
Before formerly manager of Motley Crue.
Yeah, so Doc McGee's kind of said something similar, like, you guys are you're going to do fine. You just need to find your sound, maybe, and he kind of was hinting, maybe you should go towards rock and roll a bit. And Gene was not down with that shit. He was like, no. If you're going to be a metal band, be a fucking metal band. And then, you think about it, and, like, I'm pretty sure, Gene was around during Pantera's rise, and he brought Lita Ford in, and,
yes.
He is a fan of heavy metal.
Absolutely.
So,
of all bands, too, Van Halen.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, it was a cool piece of advice. He was a nice guy. They were all nice guys. I really clicked with, actually, Phil Collin, the guitar player for Def Leppard, and I really clicked with Eric Singer, who plays Peter Criss's parts, who the drummer who used to play for Alice Cooper as well, and they were Tommy Thayer's a super sweet dude, and so like a lot of people kind of expected me to come back with stories about how big of dicks these guys were, and they aren't.
No,
and
that's all the media and everything that you hear in this, and it can be one isolated incident turned into
and the way I always put it is, like, why would they be dicks? Why would they be dicks? The fact is they've won.
Yeah,
they've won life. They're good to go. Why do they have to look down or talk down or be a dick to anyone? They're good.
I've met Gene twice now, and he's been the nicest guy. I've never had
he's good to go.
Yeah.
No, they've got no reason to piss on your parade at all.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get mad at me one time because I did an impression of him to his face. Yeah. And I met him, and he loved it. He enjoyed it. And security guard's like, that's the best greeting he's gotten all day.
Yeah.
So I was super nervous going in. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to make fun of him to his
Gene
face.
Sees people left, right, and center. And if you can do anything to stick out, that's a good thing.
That's what it was. And then he remembered me the whole day because he was at the Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So we did the autograph session in the morning, we had a photo session in the afternoon. So I went to the photo session. He saw me and immediately started laughing.
Yeah.
And, went and got the picture. And then later when they played, he saw me again and remembered me. So
no, Gene's a cool dude. Yeah, he's very cool.
So music videos.
Yeah, music videos.
Speaking of sitting around and wait and do nothing and for 3 seconds of fame or
absolutely.
What's your favorite and what's your least favorite video?
Ooh,
I'll tell you which one's my favorite.
We have 3 coming out. We have 3 coming out.
Nice.
And we did all 3 back to back at a studio, and that was a painfully long, painfully physically, and really, really, really long days and aggravating days. So you're right, they are quite the experience doing music videos. My current favorite would be Soldier. It was very cool to do. The place we did it was in Squamish, in a copper mine, and they lend it out all the time to film, and all the X-Files has been filmed there, like all these things. So there was all these cool pictures on the wall, and it was really neat because they managed to hunt down legitimate World War II Canadian uniforms, Enfields, like legit like Nazi looking gear, because the whole, for anyone who hasn't seen the music video, it takes place during World War II. There's snipers involved. It's very cool, and it was a ton of fun to film, and it was the first music video I did with them, and it was a real experience. So that would be my favorite. My least favorite, I kind of have a soft spot for all of them in my heart because they were an experience all in their own. I would say lyric videos are something I'm really like. We did this one for Hell on Earth, which is a great lyric video. It's awesome. But the part that really pissed me off was they really wanted me to put this stupid, I have an eye thing. Like, I don't like touching my eyes. I don't want people touching my eyes. And they had this fucking red contact that they were like, put it in your eye. So it took me like an hour and a half of poking this goddamn thing in my eyeball, and it hurt, and it was miserable, and then you can't even see it in the music video. Yeah. And I was like, God damn it. Yeah. So I should have been Mark. They tried to make Marcus do it too, and he's like, nope. And that was the end of it. I should have just said no, but I was like,
Marcus, if you get told no by Marcus, you go with it.
Yeah, that's right.
He's not a guy you would want a second question.
He's not only a personal trainer, but he also did a stint as a semi-professional wrestler like WWE.
I can see it,
yeah, so he could body slam your ass through a table with.
Be a body double for Roman Reigns.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna bug. Actually, funny enough, his nickname with some fans is Cal Drumgo because he looks like Jason Momoa from.
That's where I was wondering what he looked like. I was like, that's so familiar.
So all these, because let's face it, most metal fans are nerds, not in a bad way. They all love Game of Thrones, and they're like, oh, Cal Drumgo. So now we hashtag him as Cal Drumgo. Right. Yeah, it's great.
He could be a stand-in if Jason Momoa's ever sick.
That's right.
His appearances for him.
That's right. So what? So Dale, you were saying you had a favorite video.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Black Velvet.
Yeah, well, people loved that one. It was
right?
Black Velvet was a bit of a kick in my ego's dick, though, because there's a dog in there that has more scenes than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
aren't you the limo driver?
I'm the limo driver. I'm literally in it like, you could blink and miss me, and this dog has more screen time than me. His name's Bodie. He's a very nice dog. Very nice. Yeah.
So we're getting close to wrapping up the episode here. We just want to thank Brad Kennedy for joining us and having a great chat with me and Dale today. Is there any kind of closing remarks that you want to kind of make? Maybe promote anything?
Yeah,
talk
sure.
about the new album a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the new Prevail 2, I believe it comes out in April. I think it's like between the 12, 13, 14, 15. It's somewhere in that range. It came out the previous one, Prevail 1, came out in May around the same time, so they're roughly exactly a year apart from each other. It's the continuation of the first one, so if you like the first one or if you haven't heard it, then get them both because they're pretty cool. They were really, really, really stressful sessions, so everything you hear there is 100% blood, sweat, and tears. Everyone was stressed. Everyone was beat down. Everyone's self-esteem took a hit because you're under the gun. You're pushing. You're writing stuff on the spot. You're feeling like a terrible musician half of the time because it's the studio and that's what the studio does. And so what you're hearing is probably the rawest music we've ever done. It still sounds polished. Don't get me wrong, it's polished, it's beautiful, the production's amazing, but it's very raw emotionally, I would say. Yeah, there's that. The music videos are coming out. I'd like to plug, I'm finally getting back in the swing of it. I also have a podcast, the Sons of Thunder Podcast. You can do that. Check that out at www.sonsofthunderpodcast.ca. My last episode, funny enough, was with my dad, who has a long experience, storied history with music, because he was born in 1948. That means he has witnessed and seen probably every band I've ever wanted to see. Yeah. And he talks a lot in that episode about the 60s and the 70s and, living in Vancouver and witnessing the whole...
You remembered all those stories?
Yeah, well, most of them. Most of them might just be an acid flashback. Hey-oh! Yeah. Just kidding. So there's that. And then also I would just like to take an opportunity to thank the people for, music. The thing about being a professional musician and traveling is that it is a very trying and hard lifestyle, and it's also not exactly lucrative. So without the endorsements and the help from people, not a lot of us would have a hard time doing it. So I'll just give a quick little shout out to the endorsements who get my back and my band's back. So that'd be Sennheiser microphones and wireless units, JH Audio in-ear monitor systems, and for anyone out there who wants to take a swing at playing digital music wise, it's a great way of doing it if you're traveling a lot, because then your gear weight goes down, especially if you're flying. So, and the only way to do that is with in-ear monitor systems. They're molded for your ears. They're unbelievable. If you're a singer, anything really. Bass player was a bit more of a bitter. I fucking hated them for a long time, but I got used to them. And once you pay the money for the good ones, it's worth it. Angle amps out of Germany. They're some of the crunchiest amps I've ever heard. And I recently got lent one on our last tour, and I'm in love with it. And now I'm trying to hunt one down. And recently I actually just started a deal and a relationship with Warwick bases, which is probably like the nicest bases in the world, in my opinion. They're all hand-built in Germany. They're gorgeous. They're all like wood finishes. They mostly use transparent stains. They rarely paint one in a solid color because they use these amazing, Babinga, flame maple, purple heart, all these different amazing woods to do the quilted fronts, and they look phenomenal. So I'm really, really excited about that one. And actually, we got a cool clothing endorsement, which I didn't even know that was a band thing, but I got one, and it's by Warren Star Clothing. So so they give us our clothes and make us all look metaled up, So they out of Chicago, and they do really. So if there's anyone out there who likes, like rock and roll clothes, like in the traditional like biker style, they do a lot of really cool stuff. They do streetwear as well, so it's not like you'd go out to the post office in a pair of leather pants. They do regular stuff too. Yeah, exactly. They do button-up shirts. So yeah, there's a lot of people out there right now who are bucking for us, and we really appreciate it because nothing helps you more than, all artists have self-esteem issues. Let's face it. All of us want to be loved, and that is a fact. And when you have people willing to step up and say, "Look, we have a product, and we want to see it in your hands because we believe in you," that is worth the world.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Brad, for joining us. We could talk to you for probably a couple more hours and ask more questions, but we'd love to have you back if next time you're in town.
Absolutely.
We'd love to come back
and one more thing, I want to give a shout out to Dale and Justin for this is a complete mind blowing experience. I never thought I would be in a podcast situation in Wetaskiwin, to be honest. But like you said, things are changing. So good on you guys for taking the initiative to kind of spearhead a movement. Especially podcasts are kind of the way of the future. You know what I mean? In my opinion, podcasts, there's one for everything, and it's great that there's one that represents this city.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you got an absolute open invitation. Anytime you want to stop by, come on in, man.
That's right. But though that when I'm here, they'll run an hour long. Yeah, that's right.
We're prepared for that one. More coffee.
That's right.
Check them out. Kobra and the Lotus YouTube website, kobraandlotus.com.
Yeah, and Spotify, of course.
Spotify, iTunes. Check out the new album, Prevail 1,
Facebook,
Prevail 2.
Instagram. If you're at all savvy on the internet, you know all the sites. Yeah. So easy to find. There's only one band called Kobra and the Lotus. Yeah. Booyah.
Booyah. Thank you so much for joining us.
This week's episode is brought to you by the Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival Committee, Delcon Visual Arts, and Warren's Music.